So the big question is this: how are real estate investors who don't have a ton of free time, don't have access to off-market deals, and didn't start life on third base, how do we grow a real estate business conservatively to support our families, finally leave the corporate rat race, and build a legacy? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. I'm Ed Matthews, and this is Real Estate Underground. This is the Real Estate Underground podcast show, number 77. Greetings and salutations, Real Estate Undergrounders. It's your old friend Ed Matthews again. And today is a very special show. Dustin and I were just having a conversation about the fact that I actually read his book about 5 years ago, and I didn't connect the author with the human being until, about 20 minutes ago. So with that, Dustin Heiner, thank you so much for joining us today. Obviously, you are the CEO of Master Passive Income and the coaching programs and books and all the things that go along with that. So first off, thank you for being one of my mentors. You didn't even realize you were, but you are. And also thank you for your time today. Welcome to the show.
Absolutely, Ed. Thank you so much. And I am very blessed that you're the one that read the book. So I really appreciate you reading the book. And I'm a real estate investor. I love investing in real estate. Been doing since 2006. And eventually I had enough properties where I didn't have to work anymore. And so I like the term successfully unemployed. So I don't have to work for somebody else. I make money to provide for my family outside of that. And that's, for me, it's real estate investing. But, I get to do whatever I want all day, come on podcasts and talk to great people like you. So thanks a lot, Ed. And I really appreciate you reading my book too. Yeah, thanks.
It was actually given to me by a good friend of mine who, the fact is that I went full time about almost 6 years ago now. So yeah, cool. You were at the beginning. So thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah. So let's talk about your story a little bit. I mean, obviously, you've been investing for quite some time. Let's talk about asset classes and the kind of properties you like to invest in.
I absolutely love residential. So 4 units and below.
Yep.
Absolutely love those properties because they're simple. And if anybody has ever bought a home to live in, it's like you find a realtor and you find a mortgage broker and you put them together and you buy a house.
Right.
Very, very simple. Multifamily, you get 50 unit apartment complexes, hundreds and stuff. That gets to be a little hard, especially if you do mobile home parks or, there's a lot of asset classes that are really, really good, but they're harder to get into. For me, getting into a single family home. In fact, all my students, I've got hundreds and if not almost thousands of students now that I just coach how to do this. I just love giving all this stuff and information out, but it's so easy. But the biggest thing is, even though it's easy, meaning it's simple, there's a simple process to it. For us, we make sure we're making passive income every single month. That's how I was able to become successful unemployed, is because I focused not on appreciation. In fact, I can't eat appreciation, meaning I can't feed my family appreciation. What I can do, though, is feed my family with a passive income and become successfully unemployed by being able to replace my income from my job. And I call it the just over broke job, JOB. Oh, yeah. It's a just over broke job. But I'm able to replace my income from the passive income that I make when I buy one rental property. So 4 units and below, bread and butter. Love those. I'll take those all day, every day.
Yeah, it's where I got my start as well. The first building I ever bought was a 4 unit. And, it's funny. I got into flipping to create cash. And so we would, flip a couple houses and buy a small multi 4 and under, just like you. And then, got to the point where the portfolio supported the lifestyle and, away we went. And, I get phone calls. I used to work in technology and I was traveling 150, 200 nights a year. And, it's very hard to be impactful in your children's lives when you're sitting at a Courtyard Marriott somewhere in the world, right? And so it's it's truly a blessing that we've been able to go full time. And
on top of that, let me quickly add, you don't get to hang around your children, but you also cannot give your job to your kids. It's literally impossible. They have to hire them on. But what you can do is you can literally give them your properties. It's generational wealth. Like if you buy a residential, you pay it off in 30 plus years. Well, I'll say this, your tenants pay it off in 30 plus years. Exactly. Literally give it to your kids. It's just so much more overall for generational wealth. It's hard to beat real estate investing.
Yeah. So let's talk about stepped up basis a little bit, which is what you're referring to. So, the fact is that, not only are you building a cash flowing business, and you and I think similarly in that, yes, appreciation is wonderful and I love it. But I never base a business model on it, right? It's all about, expenses and cash flow in, and the appreciation, forced or otherwise, is the cherry on top, right? So, but in terms of looking at properties and how you approach them, I'm curious. When I was flipping, I regret every single property I ever sold, right? Nature of what I had to do, because I needed the capital to go buy multis, but I tended to focus quite a bit on my local area. So I drive by the houses that I've rehabbed every day, and it's like, oh, I missed that one. Oh, I should have kept that one, right? But in terms of your business model and what you teach, your students are focused on that 1 to 4 unit, single family to 4 unit. So let's talk about that, in terms of the model and how you approach it and what you look for in a property.
So what I look for and invest, in fact, we invest everywhere, like literally anywhere in the country we invest. I love investing out of state. There's so many other better areas for rental income and passive income than my area. I live in Phoenix now. And when I started investing back in 2006, California was where I was living, and prices were so high, rents were so low, I couldn't make passive income. So I had to figure out how to actually do it in another state which had lower priced homes, higher rents. So my type of homes, what my business model is, I love finding lower priced homes, higher priced rents, and being able to make sure that I account for every expense, including a property manager, because I don't want to manage these properties. I don't want to work at all. In fact, a lot of people have heard of the book, The 4-Hour Work Week. Yeah. The 4-Hour Work Week, the premise is to work only 4 hours a week. Well, in my opinion, working 4 hours a week is for suckers. I don't want to work 4 hours a week. I don't want to even want to work 4 hours a month. I maybe work 30 minutes a month by picking up my property management statements, make sure everything looks good, and put it away, because I have system and procedures and processes in my business so that it runs. And you'll hear me say this over and over again, in my business. Your property is not your business. The quote unquote gurus will tell you that your property is your business. No. Our business owns inventory. That inventory helps us to make money. Now, my business model is lower priced homes, let's say $80,000 to maybe $150,000. And we want to make sure we're making a minimum of $250 a month in passive income after every single expense. Like I said, I alluded to this a little bit earlier. So I don't pay my taxes on any of my properties. I don't pay my mortgage. I don't pay for property management. I don't pay for fees. I don't pay for repairs. I don't pay any of that stuff. I don't have to get a job to pay that stuff. My tenants pay for all that. Now, it so happens that the money goes into me and I pay out the bills, but I don't have to get a job to do that because I build a business. Now, my business model is finding an area anywhere in the country, building up the inventory by building the business first, then buying inventory and putting it into my business. Now, I didn't start that way. In fact, the way I started was in 2006. I was watching a late night infomercial or late night TV, but an infomercial came on. They said, "Hey, we're quote unquote gurus. We're coming to your town for a free 2-hour seminar." I'm like, terrific. I'm so excited. I didn't know what I was doing. Went to that 2-hour seminar, all hype, all sales pitch. And then they said, it's normally $1 billion, but now it's $1,000. Run to the back and go give us money. I was like, great. I ran to the back, said, no, a 2-day seminar. So I spent $1,000 for this 2-day seminar. It was horrible. Another 2 days of sales pitch for their $80,000 course, their $100,000 course and coaching. And it was ridiculous. I didn't have the money, but I took what little bit they told me to do. And I'll tell you the wrong way to do it. This is what they told me. It's the wrong way. Then I had to figure out the right way. So the wrong way, I did it, and my property manager started stealing from me within 6 months. So here's the wrong way, and you'll quickly forget it. This is what they tell you. Find a property anywhere in the country. Make sure that you run the numbers, and you want to make $50 or $25 or $50 a month in passive income, but you're going to be investing for appreciation, which, remember, 2006, that was all the thing that was the rage. It was great. Hey, everything's going great until it didn't. And then it's bad.
Yeah.
And so which mean now, like you said, I don't invest for appreciation. This is generational wealth I'll give to my kids. Now I will take the equity, refinance, pull the cash out and buy more properties, but I don't sell properties once I own it because it makes me money. But quickly getting back to the wrong way to do it, and you'll forget it because I'll tell you the right way. So the wrong way is find a property in another country, run the numbers, get $25 a month in passive income, you'll get appreciation. Then they say, spend thousands of dollars to buy the property, then spend thousands of dollars to fix up the property, and then find a tenant, and then try to find a property manager. Well, I did that. And the bad thing was my property manager started stealing from me within 6 months. In fact, my students, people that come to me and said, Dustin, I was doing what everybody else says. And I called up property manager, said, hey, property manager, I bought this property. Will you manage it? And they would say, no, I will not manage it because I'll get shot if I go over to that area. Well, you no longer have an asset anymore. You have a liability. Right. Now, this liability, now you are out all this money and time. How much better is it if you built a business first, you hired the experts on the ground so that they do all the work for you, instead of asking, I bought this property, will you manage it? You call them up and say, property manager, you're the expert. I've already vetted you, everything. Like, you're the right person. I'm looking to buy this property. Tell me how much will it rent for? What type of clientele would I have? What's the vacancy factor? And will you manage it? If they say, no, I won't manage it, then you say, great, I haven't wasted all that time and money. But if they do say, I will manage it, this is blah, 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 vacancy factor, type of clientele, and it rents for $1,300, this is the type of property, then you have a business that will make you money, because what you do is you build the business first. Now I gave you the wrong way, but let me quickly give you the right way. And Ed, since you're an investor, you'll completely know this. I'm going to give everybody an analogy. So here's an analogy of what it looks like to build the business. What we do is, let's say you had a convenience store. You want to start a convenience store, candy bars, soda machines.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, you would not sign a lease on a location, open the doors, and set a box of candy bars in there on the ground. No, you wouldn't do that. You go out of business in 2 seconds.
Right.
What you would do, though, is you would build the business first. You would get the gondolas, those are shelving units. You get the countertops, cold storage, bank accounts, cash registers, employees, insurance, like everything in the business before you bought any inventory. Same thing with real estate investing. We do everything in the business before we buy any inventory, and their properties, once we buy them, that's our inventory, and we put that into our business so that it makes us money in passive income every single month. Now, you probably got blunt. I just threw a lot out there, but you probably got questions. But does that all make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the fact is that, I define a business in my terms as, if I take a week off, what happens? Right. So when I was in technology world and traveling all over the place, if I, had to focus on 10 hours a day, software or consulting, nothing happened in the real estate business. And so when I left that world, all my friends were like, hey, we want to invest in your business. We hear real estate's a great place to be. I said, you know what? Let me go screw stuff up. Let me go fix it. Let me build systems, right? Because at that point, it was just a side hustle. And, it took me, quite a bit of time to figure out, okay, when we onboard a building, here are the 97 things we do. When we take on a new resident, here are the 14 things we do. When we have to pay a bill, here's who needs to see it. Here's who needs to approve it. All of that, right? When someone calls for a work order or lets us know on our platform, here are the things we have to do in terms of, diagnosing the problem. Who do we send out? How do we fix it? How do we follow up to make sure that it's fixed? All that process. And none of that had been built when I left corporate world. And now it is. And, the fact is that I was away for a week unexpectely. I actually had a medical issue. I had appendix out, and not fun. I don't recommend it. And but the fact is that I was gone on a Friday, and I didn't come back until a week later. And you know what? Everything was fine. The team handled all the phone calls. They took care of the residents. All the bills got paid. Everything happened the way it should, right? And I finally realized, and this wasn't that long ago, I was like, wow, I have a business. I can actually not work if I choose not to, right? And it's a huge blessing, because it's, I think the epitome of freedom. I haven't missed a softball game or a swim meet or a choral concert or lunch with my wife or anything in years. And it's really nice.
That's the beautiful thing about passive income. Now, there's lots of different ways to get passive income. My favorite is real estate investing. In fact, I've got lots of streams of income, but they all flow into my river of income in real estate. I'm a real estate investor. That's literally what I invest in. So everything goes back into it. But here's the great thing. What I love about being successfully unemployed or having freedom. If you're successfully unemployed, what you're going to have is more time in your life to do whatever you want. It could be being with your family. That's a huge, huge, amazing blessing, developing relationships with them. But at the same time, building businesses. I love building businesses. In fact, I have 4 businesses that make me money now because I have so much extra time. So if you are able to stop working for somebody else, instead of working for somebody else, you put that effort into your own value, like your own businesses, your own investments, or whatever it might be. Because your bosses, if anybody's working, you definitely realize this. Like your boss is not paying you what you are worth. And in fact, you're worth so much more than they can ever pay you, because this is how you'll know. They're paying you just enough to keep you working without quitting, but not so much that it takes money out of their pocket. If they paid you what you're worth, they'd probably go broke. But instead of you putting value in somebody else's business or organization, putting it into yourself. And I actually learned this the hard way. You mind if I quickly share a story of what got me into real estate investing?
Yeah, you bet.
So I had just been doing a normal everyday 9-to-5 job. I was working in local government in California, doing IT just like you. The most risk-averse job you could ever think of, because I've been taught just like we're all taught. You go to school, get good grades. Then you go to college and get thousands of dollars in debt. You get a piece of paper, and you hopefully go get a career, work 40 plus years of your life, maybe longer, and retire when you're 65 or 75 years old, and hopefully live on what you managed to save that entire time working that just over broke job. Yep. Well, I'm following that exact same path, doing exactly the same thing. And then my wife and I started having kids. And I had at the time bought one rental property, and it was making me money. And I knew I needed to I needed to change my mindset to where I'm an investor. Yep. But once we started having kids, life started getting in the way. Right. And I put that on the back burner. But I'll give you a quick story of what happened to me. I started having kids with my wife. And by the time we had our 4th child, I went on paternity leave with you got to stay home with the mom, changes poopy diapers of the baby, bonds with the baby, and all that good stuff. And after that 2 weeks of maternity leave, I went back to work. And in that week, I went back to work on a Friday at 3:30 in the afternoon. I get a call from my boss's secretary, like the top dog. And she says, "Dustin, would you please come to the office?" And I said, "Sure." And I hung up the phone. I thought, well, this isn't normal. I wonder why they're calling me. And I've seen plenty of movies. I know Friday at 3:30 in the afternoon is not a good sign to be called. I thought I might get laid off. Well, I get up and I go to my boss's office, and I turn the corner to see his office, and his door is closed, and I see a secretary there. Super sweet, nice old lady. And she says, "Dustin, would you please have a seat?" And she's sheepishly grinning at me, trying to console me with her eyes, because she knows everything about what's going on. I know nothing about what's going on. Well, I go and I sit down and I think about my life. If I lose my job right now, did I just waste my life? And then, oh my goodness, how am I going to feed my family? Does that make me a failure as a father? Does that make me a failure as a husband, as a man trying to provide for his family? Well, the door to my boss's office opens up. Out walks a lady, a coworker of mine, with a piece of paper in her hands. She's noticeably distraught, noticeably upset, not necessarily crying, but you could tell her world's been devastated. She passes by me, and my boss says, "Dustin, would you please come into my office?" I get up and I go into his office, and I get laid off. And remember, this is the government. Nobody gets fired or laid off from the government, but I did. Well, I went back to my desk and I realized 2 things. And this is the reason why I tell this story. I realized 2 things. Number one, I need to get another job. And so praise the Lord, I was able to find another job in the same county, different department, didn't have the money issues. Check. But sitting at a desk, I realized the second thing. I no longer will let life get in the way. I am now going to tell everybody I am an investor. It may so happen that 100% of my money comes from my job. That's now my part-time job. I'm a full-time investor. So fast forward the story, started buying property after property after property, each one making me $250 a month in passive income. Eventually, I had 30 plus properties. And I realized, even though I'm making $75,000 a year at this job, I'm losing money because of the time. Fast forward, I was blessed to be able to quit my job, become successful unemployed because I now have businesses that make me money over and over, in real estate that makes me money. And it's because of the financial freedom, the vision of having financial freedom, always being able to take care of my family. That's the main reason why I wanted to invest in real estate. Fast forward now, I literally have been retired for, I don't know, quote unquote retired, 6 or 7 years now. Now I literally have 4 businesses. I even created a real estate conference. Real Estate Wealth Builders is a conference. That's the name of it, where I bring people together. It's not the ones with the sales pitch, run to the back. It's actually the opposite. It's all about giving. It's all about community. So I love the fact that I have 40 plus hours of my life to devote to my family, devote to, serving in my church, serving the community, and building more businesses.
Awesome. So in terms of your vision, where are you taking this? I mean, you're a young man, right? So, you've got a good 30 plus years of work ahead of you if you want it. Where are you taking the empire next?
Yeah, so I am going to keep building my real estate, and I'm really looking forward to the next 3 to 5 years of investing. It's going to be like 2010 all over again, in my opinion. Everything's getting really bad. Inflation, interest rates, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep building my real estate investing. On top of that, I love coaching. And when I quit my job, and that's why I wrote my books, was because I just enjoyed teaching. And I don't want to do turnkey, buy properties and sell them. I don't want to do that stuff. I don't want to create a fund. I love educating. I love coaching people because I can serve them. So it's going to continually build out some master passive income, my brand. And because once I buy one property, I've mastered passive income because it makes money for me all the time. Right. With that, I love showing people how to master passive income. So keep building up the coaching. With that, build up on top of that my conference, the Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference. This year, we have 45 expert speakers coming and teaching. It's a live 3-day in-person conference. This year, it's in Phoenix. Next year, it'll probably be on the East Coast, but it'll be annual conference. But my goal in life, the first time, was to quit my job in 10 years. I was blessed at 37 years old. Check, got that. Now, my new goal is to help 1 million people invest in real estate and hopefully become financially independent. And everything above, from my podcast to the conference to any coaching that I do, everything is all about helping more people to invest in real estate, become financially independent. Because I found the more people I serve in my life, helping them get what they want, the better my life gets and the better their lives get.
Well, you're going from service to contribution, right? I mean, it's that classic model where you get so much more back than you even give. And it's one of the reasons that this podcast exists, for that exact reason, right? We don't make money on this. There's, as you were saying, you're the one that read the book. Whenever I see somebody that says, "Oh, I listen to your podcast," I'm like, "Oh, you're the one." Okay. Because I know my mom listens. I know my wife probably listens. And, there's the guy I ran into in Starbucks, and that's it. Right. So Dustin, I'm curious, leaders are readers. And so, when you are sharpening the saw, right, so to speak, how do you consume information? Audiobooks, hardcover books, podcasts, conferences, whatever, and specifically, who are you paying attention to these days?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm definitely an Audible learner. I listen to lots of podcasts. That's probably why I got into podcasting, because I loved listening to podcasts. And so, I definitely read, but not nearly as much. It's 90% podcast or Audible.
Right on.
Now with that, what I'm always literally, I read the Bible every single day. That's, if you ask me, my number one book, it's the Bible. I read it multiple times a day, read it to my kids. But outside of that, real estate investing, I love listening to good podcasts that coach this stuff. I have a friend's podcast, Seth Williams with R.E. Tipster. He's got a great podcast, but I love learning. I love growing. Conferences are absolutely game changer, though. If you're listening to books, they're great. You're getting somebody else that's kind of talking to you or reading them, but nothing changes your life like being around the actual people that are doing this. If you come to my conference, I'll literally be walking down the hallways. You grab me and say, "Hey, Dustin, I need some help finding people or networking." Yes, let's go. I'm going to help you meet people. So with that, conferences by far, once I realized conferences were the way to go, my businesses literally exploded, because if I help people, they're going to help me in return, and all of our lives get better.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Dustin, I know we're a little tight on time, so I'm curious about your personal life. So obviously, wife, 4 kids, God bless you, by the way. I only have 2, and that was a lot. I can't imagine when you go from playing zone or man-to-man defense to zone, on the parenting level, it's got to be, at some point the older one figures out that they have you outnumbered, right? So, how do you spend your time when you're not coaching or investing in real estate? What do you like to do?
Yeah. So I love serving my church. I love exercising. I go to the gym 5 days a week. I like Olympic lifting. It's snatch and clean and jerk type of, if you go see an Olympics. But I love being with my family. Love going on long vacations where it's more like a field trip where we are homeschooling family. I have the easy job of making money. My wife has a hard job of homeschooling the kids. So we do that as well. But I literally love being around my family. I would go home from work to go have lunch with my family. So I make sure I have lunch with my family every single day. That's awesome. But it's all about relationships and all about serving people now.
Yeah. Oh, excellent. Well, Dustin, if someone wants to learn more about you or get in touch, what's the best way to do that?
Absolutely. So actually, I have a free course I would love to give out. Do you mind if I give that out to everybody?
That would be great. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I love giving this out because it changes people's lives. If you text the word rental, RENTAL, to 33777, rental to 33777, or you can go to masterpassiveincome.com/free course, all one word. I'll literally give it to you. It'll show you how to build a business, how to find a property or a city anywhere in the country to invest in, how to scale the business to quit your job. I'll give that to you. You can even check me out on Master Passive Income Podcast. It's actually like if you search real estate investing, I'm either number 1 or number 2. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah. I've been doing it since 2016. YouTube, Master Passive Income as well. Oh, if you want to come to my conference, the Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference, I will literally give you 10% off the ticket. Use the promo code podcast, and I'll know you came from Ed's podcast. Go to rubcon.com, REWBCON.com, rubcon.com. Use the promo code podcast. I'll give you 10% off. But I just absolutely love helping people, seeing them change their lives. But I really appreciate you having me on the show, Ed.
Yeah, man. Dustin, it's so good to see you again. Thank you for all that you do. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next for you. So Dustin Heiner, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ed.
All right. This has been the Real Estate Underground Podcast, a Clark Street Capital presentation. Thanks for joining us. If you're enjoying the show, please remember to subscribe and share it with your friends. If you'd like to learn more about Clark Street Capital and our upcoming projects, please join our investor club at clarkst.com/join. Until next time, happy investing.